In this presentation, we will be looking at demand, and in particular, we'll be looking at the law of demand. And in the title, we have change in quantity demanded, which is a change in price or movement caused by a change in price, rather, or movement along the demand curve, moving from left to right, downward sloping. Again, the demand curve for oranges in this case, or it could be any normal good. Normal good meaning a good or service in which we purchase more of if we have more income. So that pretty much constitutes almost everything out there, that if we had more income, we would buy more of those goods or services. And again, the demand curve for oranges in this case slopes downward to the right, indicating that the quantity demanded increases as the price of the good or service in question falls, and quantity demanded decreases as the price rises. This inverse relationship is nearly universal and is referred to as the law of demand. Again, the law of demand argues that in almost all cases, with a few fleeting exceptions, that when prices fall, the quantity demanded for that good will increase, ceteris paribus, which is Latin for all else equal or holding everything else constant. And when the prices rise for that good, the quantity demanded for that good will decrease, again, ceteris paribus, or all else equal. Now, when the price rises, as we're moving along the demand curve from right to left, you'll note that the price axis is the y-axis, or the vertical axis. And again, we're seeing upward movement in price, moving from $2 to $4 in this case. Also, moving down to the x-axis, or the horizontal axis, we see leftward movement because, again, the quantity purchased is decreasing as the price rises, and we see movement along the demand curve. This is an important point to note, by the way, that whenever we're talking about price, and price alone, remember using that term ceteris paribus, we're talking about movement along the demand curve. Now, the same, of course, goes for, or the opposite rather, but the same idea holds for moving down the demand curve. And in this case, what happens is that the price dropped from $4 down to $2. And likewise, again, so we have the y-axis, we see the price drop from $4 to $2. And because of the price drop, we're seeing an increased quantity purchased of oranges, moving from 2 to 4. And likewise, we would also see movement moving down the demand curve, increasing the quantity demanded purchased for those goods that we're talking about, in this case, oranges. So again, this holds when we're talking about prices and only prices, again, using that term ceteris paribus, holding all else equal. If we're just talking about price changes, we're talking about movement along the demand curve. Whether we're moving up the demand curve or down the demand curve, it's all triggered by price changes. So if the price drops, as in this case, then we would have moving down the demand curve or increasing the quantity demanded. So in summary, what we're looking at is, again, rightward movement along the demand curve is equal to quantity increase. Leftward movement along the demand curve is quantity decrease. Again, this movement along the demand curve is prompted by a change in price, ceteris paribus, all else equal, and results in a change in quantity demanded. For example, if the price rises, we would have a decrease in the quantity demanded. The opposite, of course, would be the case if we had a price reduction, moving again from $4 down to $2. We would have an increase in quantity demanded. And again, what we're looking at is a movement along the demand curve where only price changes while everything else remains constant. Again, we'll be moving on to the next. In the next section, we'll be talking about a shift in demand, but we are looking in this presentation at a change in quantity demanded only, and we're only speaking to price changes, price level changes, movement along the demand curve.